Hello everybody, Maria Gillen here from Sheehan's Storytelling Cottage. 300 years of storytelling in these walls, isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
And next to me I have Katrin Somers all the way from Ernst in Germany. And we have met through the Erasmus Programme. So we've been telling stories back and forth through the lovely Erasmus Programme, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And we met through Kerry Writers Museum. So thank you so much, Cara Trent. Yeah, and here we are now in the Kerry Storytelling Cottage in Finuge. So it's
Very authentic old place.
yeah, it is amazing. So I suppose I just wanted to talk about how important the Erasmus programme is to storytelling. So maybe we'll start there.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we'll just come to you and have your experiences on that.
Thank you very much. Well, you all know Erasmus is international and finances things. And as we don't have the storytelling tradition alive in Germany anymore, I was hoping for some Irish input. And so Erasmus made that possible. So we got some financing, and Maria has been over for 3 times now, working with kids from 10 to 19 and with adults as well. So in my village on the Moselle, in Ernst, but also in the Eifel where my school is. It's a grammar school. And they have been listening to stories, but also making stories. And they were all inspired, and they all love it, and they all talk about it. And I think it was a seed. It started a spark.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for that.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love it. I love coming over. And it's amazing when you start to get a community of storytellers. So the first time you're breaking the ice, the second time they can't wait to see you. And the third time I was so heartened by the fact that they were finding stories from their own culture and from back along the line. So one of the things that we've noticed in Storytellers of Ireland through FEST, which is the Federation of European Storytelling, is that Ireland is very lucky that we have an unbroken 2 millennia back of stories. It's so special. But also we were lucky that we had this program called Ducas, which I introduced to your students. And we said that over 100 years ago now, when Ireland was becoming a republic, that all the children were given a copybook. And they were told to go home to their grandparents, and they wrote down the stories of their place. And I noticed when I came to Ernst this year that the children were beginning to revive those stories, the stories of the goats, the stories of the, kind of the competition between one side of the Moselle and the other. And they were really great stories. And the story of that castle and the girl in the castle. So how important is it, do you think, that these stories are captured and revived? And would you like an archive like our Ducas.ie?
Well, I think we have some local story collectors, but it's mostly in dialect form, and it's very often in very old language, so the kids don't really feel that it touches them. So we have now started that they rewrite the stories or retell the stories. And so an archive like that, an archive is always important, of course, so we have some story collectors who have got these collections. So that is in the Eifel, on the Moselle, all over Germany. But a lot of them get forgotten, really. And so I think in order to not forget them, it's important to get the little ones as well, the younger generation as well. And if they start finding their own language with them and then writing that up or telling that, recording that, that's fun for them. It really inspires them and they feel part of all of it. And they will definitely continue that, yes.
Absolutely. I remember you having a discussion with me before I came over to Germany, and you said that story making was as important as storytelling. And so we looked at story making, and your kids were amazing. So we worked very hard to come out of intellect and come into spirituality and physicality and emotional parts. And the kids took to story making like ducks to water. And they made amazing stories. So one of the stories I remember from your little 10-year-olds, I think, was the girl who, when she was happy, her hair became pink. and she could fly and she had power over the dogs in the school and that kind of thing. And so the imagination sparked, and it was a great story, and I still remember it. But I suppose one of the most important things was that you recorded them. So you've started archiving your own stories, and it will be great for these kids who are 10 now to look back when they're 20 in 10 years' time, which will go like that. You know, it'll go very fast. And to be able to see that they told stories when they were young, and hopefully hold the love of the stories going forward, you know.
You know, it was really amazing because in that class that we had, there were like 6 refugee children as well. And it was so lovely to see how they all connected. Like the one boy who would always pretend to be cool and not participate very much. But the storytelling making there, the borders just broke down, and everybody was part of it, and everybody chipped in, and you could see the happy faces. And then afterwards, everybody was really proud of the recording, and they also had other ideas. They integrated animal noises and so on. So it was a real fun thing for the kids. And then they played it to their parents, and it's part of the school history, part of our history now. So they are going for books that way now, and a spark has been struck there, yeah. Thank you very much.
That's it. A spark, like our beautiful turf fire, that hopefully will, will carry on for many years. It's amazing the bond of storytelling between Ireland and Germany, between Germany and all of the refugees that have come into Germany, the same in Ireland. So right now we're looking at making a story in 4 languages. We have Croatia, Polish, Irish and English. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. And I'm sure that this is something that you will be able to do as well. Absolutely. I suppose that you taught in Kerry for a little while, and then you taught in Germany. And I'm just wondering, what is it like to teach here compared to teaching in Germany?
Well, I was, of course, in Kerry, and I was very amazed that the little kids are really, they're motivated to produce, to create poems, music. So they were playing the violin or the harp or whatever it was. They were singing. The stories were published, their poems were published. And so that is now 20 years ago, but it's still going on. And at that time in Germany, we didn't have anything like that at all. Now we also have our foundations, and more is coming. But there's more intimidation, poetry and writing. So if you want to keep up the cultural thing, I think that storytelling has to be there, because that is without the spelling and without the punctuation. And it's so alive, and people, like our children, they all love to be on YouTube to produce their little clips. So it's natural for them. They like the stage, they like talking, and that makes it easy. So in order to really keep the stories, I think storytelling is very important, not just writing.
Oh, absolutely. Just listening to you there, and we're talking about the spoken word. First of all, unfortunately, outside of Kerry, we don't have such an emphasis on playing instruments or telling stories as part of the school curriculum. But it's great to see that you valued that. And I definitely would like to introduce it more in other areas of Ireland. And saying that, last week I had 2 sessions a day in the libraries in Cork City, and sometimes we would have 75 or 80 children, and you would tell them some stories from our stones and from our history, but we also made stories. So we made 10 stories, and the children said themselves how much they valued the fact that the stories from Cork had places that they could recognise, like Shandon or Fitzgerald's Park. And when I was here in Kerry, it would be, stories about the River Feel or Listowel Castle or this beautiful storytelling cottage. And I think that's really important, so
That's part of life.
Absolutely. So it's been a pure pleasure meeting you.
Me too.
And, making the bonds of story stronger between us, and hopefully there will be loads more.
I hope so too.
In the coming
to come
years.
back to Germany, and we will always come back to Kerry.
Oh, definitely, definitely. So thank you for coming, and thank you for listening.